Check 111 111. Check 11. Nice. That is our for audio.
Yes.
Yes. 1, 2, 3.
I do 4.
Smart.
I'm
with you.
When I do something for a first time, whatever number that is, that tends to be what remains. I brush the same amount on every tooth.
Oh, wow.
I clap the same amount. Generally, if I'm, and this is a bit crude, but if I'm with a woman and if I'm sucking her breast, I will generally, out of respect to her, in case she feels the same way, I'll give both sucks the same amount.
That's a bit OCD.
Oh, very OCD.
Blabbity blue, scoop D. Oh yeah.
So what are we calling our podcast? Is this called The Glassman?
No, it's called Take Your Shoes Off.
Take Your Shoes Off. And you've already covered this with your audience?
I've brought it up before.
Yes.
The first few
upon entering the home, the domicile, I was asked to take my shoes off. No offense. As long as the host took it. It'd be weird if you didn't take your shoes off and you asked everyone else to. And yeah. I did look, and he has his shoes off.
What world would somebody do that? Is that a dominance thing?
I'd be hyper controlling.
Take your shoes off. And
right.
I got boots on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And dirty ones.
Yeah. There are people that don't take their shoes off, and that's their lifestyle, and that's okay.
Sure.
But when you come into my home, and that's my thing, I have some friends that complain about it. Like, oh, they're so hard to put on and off.
No, they're not.
What are you doing? What kind of shoes? What are you doing?
You do it every day. Now, some people are so lazy they won't unlace their shoes, which to me is I don't get. That's why I wear boots. Mm-hmm. Now, let me ask you: would this originate in your home growing up, or is it something you did when you started getting your own place?
We did take our shoes off at home, but it wasn't enforced. I just took them off, and people did.
Your mother, or your father felt more comfortable with people's shoes off?
Neither of them care.
Oh, but they did it.
Yeah, it's just we have carpet.
I will say, as life develops, and if I was at a party in a large home, and I was asked to take my shoes off in your home, bigger home, I'd be like, oh, well, you've invited 50 people.
What if you ever go to a big a home where there's a lot of people and there's just pile, like all the shoes are off at the front door?
I have not. You have?
Many times I've experienced that. Yeah.
You're going to nicer parties than I am.
I think I'm going to more Jewish parties.
I think it's just Jew.
You're not supposed to say. You're saying say Jew instead of Jewish?
Is that right?
It's completely the other way around. You say Jewish, not Jew.
You know I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Yes.
Of course.
I didn't make sure your audience, because for the super white, when you go to a Jew house,
Jewish.
Yeah, they don't know.
Sure.
I mean, I grew up in a small town in Missouri. I probably didn't meet my first Jewish person. I'll bet till after college. Yeah. Yes, I would bet. I would think I was probably at least 21. In Missouri, not a lot of Jews.
Yeah, I do know.
Right. Missouri, I'm ashamed of you. You are now the worst state in the union, Missouri. Shame on you. Shame on you, Missouri. I have to apologize to people when I tell them I'm from Missouri. I say, I'm from Missouri, but I'm sorry, I'm not like that. And what am I referring to? The only state in the union that has tried what was nearly successful in ending its final abortion clinic. And then it is, they created some draconian law.
What's draconian?
Intensely unfair, punishing law to try to stop people from having abortions. It's a medical procedure, folks. A woman's body is her own. Now, the other thing that they're trying to do is like do an invasive pelvic exam where they had to take a wand and put it inside the vagina. Just because it's very embarrassing, and if it's not medically necessary.
Well, then why are they? What do you mean? People are forced to get a wand up their vagina?
They're trying to prevent people from getting an abortion.
How does that do that?
It's invasive. It's embarrassing.
Oh, you're saying that is the way to have it done. They're saying the only way to do it?
No. It's another. They're adding procedures that are not necessary to further shame, embarrass, and impugn people from trying to get an abortion.
What I'm saying is if you're a woman and you want to get an abortion in Missouri, one of the steps to do that is now going through this embarrassing gauntlet of procedure.
They tried that.
Gotcha.
And so far, it's on hold.
Okay.
So now they created a really horrible, layers to these laws to get an abortion, which they hope will get to the Supreme Court to overturn Roe versus Wade.
Mm-hmm.
And they're all these states are in a race to get their bill seen by the Supreme Court so they can be the ones who did it, whether it's Missouri versus
Right.
whatever. So Alabama's done it, Georgia's done it, Missouri's done it. Missouri's the worst. 3 years ago, Missouri had an NAACP no travel warning. If you're black, don't travel through Missouri. Yeah.
What is that? What do you mean?
It was an African American man who was traveling through southern Missouri. I don't know the details, but he had a tail light out or something like that. Got pulled over, didn't make it out alive.
Huh.
Yeah.
You know what's crazy?
What?
That there are so many stories like that I don't know that one.
Well, we'll look it up later. There was an NAACP travel warning in Missouri. Plus Ferguson, plus the University of Missouri.
Yep.
Just whatever. Horrible. Now, you grew up in Ohio.
Big time.
I'm retracing my thoughts of, I know you. Now, perhaps we should tell the audience how we met. Do you remember the whole story?
I remember the first time we met in person, and I know the Twitter.
Yes. So do your audience members know the Twitter story?
They don't know the Twitter story.
It's kind of a fun one.
You want to tell the Twitter story?
I would.
Because all I know is I'm in a group chat with some of you guys.
Okay, you got added to a group chat.
Yes.
Okay, Lenny Jacobson. I did a pilot with him years ago.
Love Lenny.
I love Lenny. If you know Lenny, it is to love him. If you don't love Lenny, then I don't like you.
Maybe they're not educated. Let's say
So if you meet Lenny, to meet Lenny is to love Lenny easily.
TMLITLL is the acronym, I believe.
Yes, it is the exact acronym. I've got the tattoo. I don't. That was a bad joke.
It was an okay joke.
Not really.
I didn't mind it as a throwaway. Now it's trash. I'm gonna have to edit this whole thing out.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So Lenny starts. What he must have thought was a close circle of people in a group chat, or maybe he was just trying to. I don't know. I've never talked to Lenny about this. He was trying to tweet a message to someone.
Okay.
He created a group chat that encompassed 75 people. Many who did not know each other. A very disparate group chat. One of them being Marc Cuban, who owns the Mavericks, and we all know from Shark Tank fame, who was also a great guy, Marc Cuban.
Yeah, he had some good bits in there before.
And you guys did kind of.
We had some good Shark Tank bit back and forth.
Some back and forth.
Yeah, I know. I'm gonna cut you off just to highlight that for a second. In this group, when I was in it, there was less than 20 people. Cuban, one of them.
You got added late.
Yes.
I forget who added you, Brent or
Sullivan.
Sullivan,
who also from Texas didn't know a Jew until after high school.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I met Sullivan at Nat's Early Bite. I was sitting there with a friend, and I noticed he kind of noticed me. And of course, in my mind, I always think it's because of show business, people kind of looking, blah, blah, blah. And we talked, and he goes, we're on that group chat together. I'm like, oh my God. And so then it became this fun game to meet everybody in the group chat.
Yeah.
There were 75, and then some people you didn't know who was on there. And every once in a while they'd chime in, or you'd only know they were on when they left the group chat.
Yeah, you were notified that so-and-so left.
Laura Silverman, Sarah Silverman, both on there for a while. But they'd be watching, and then they'd leave.
Eventually,
you're like, wait a minute.
Yeah, and I took that as when people were doing too many bits in a row that weren't working, we're losing people.
I didn't care. Bits I will always do. I love bits.
My middle name is Gregory, but I love bits. But when someone was talking about something, I don't remember what it was. Oh, I know. I was at home in Cleveland, and it was my dad smokes pot every day of his life.
That's hilarious.
And whenever his mom is over, it's not that you hide it too much, but you don't smoke it in front of her.
Right.
For whatever reason, we've all gotten to the age where we're just smoking in front of grandma. And this was the first time we smoked in front of grandma.
It was over the holidays, I believe.
Yeah, it was a Thanksgiving.
Yes. And you were posting all this on
Instagram,
Yeah,
I think.
so. Yes.
And then somebody messaged something about it, and I remember. So my grandma and I obsessed with Shark Tank. Okay. And when my grandma watches, and she will always lip, "I am out." When someone says that they're going to be out.
Yes.
So I had a video of my dad and me smoking, blowing it, and my grandma's right there in this cloud of smoke while she is whispering, "For that reason, I am out." And I put that onto the group chat, and Mark was making jokes and blah, 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 blah.
I remember that.
And then I don't remember what you said.
Very delightful.
But you said something about something else, and I go, "Listen, I'm not. I like what you're saying. It's really not the time for that, and for that reason, I am out." and then you came back and said, "Well, you know what? I think this is more of a product than a business, and for that reason, I am out." And then we did it a few times, and Mark laughed. And then after about a half hour of it, he said, "You guys, this is too much." And then I don't think it's a coincidence that a week later is when he left.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Someone else was talking to him, trying to get Maverick tickets or something.
That's got to be why then. You can't ask the guy for Mav tickets.
Someone else, I think, had a side chat. I don't know who or whatever. But it was a very fun group, and I loved meeting people over time. Sarah Tiana.
Yep.
I met Sarah, and you get very excited when you meet someone from the group. Like,
you would always post. Whenever you met somebody, you would take a picture of them and post it to the group.
I wanted to win a game that no one was playing. Met him.
You
met
won.
Met him. Ultimately, Lenny would have been the winner because he knows all of them.
I just sent you a couple of days ago. I don't know if you saw it. I was looking through old pictures, and I saw the day that we met. The one that went into when we first met. It was at a show in Hollywood.
Yes, it was in that porn.
It was like a
video store,
brothel or something.
There's like either a porn video store or something like that.
Yeah, there was
where they were having
pornos all
stand-up.
over the wall.
Yes,
and they was doing stand up, and we met outside. I saw that picture.
Yes.
So for the people that are watching this on YouTube, you're in for a treat because here it is. I want to find a way of getting Cuban on my podcast.
it will happen.
So maybe we could just take a minute and pitch him.
Okay. First of all, how are you going to make it very easy for Marc Cuban to be on your podcast?
Well, there's only two ways to make it easy.
Okay.
One is I knock on his door because he loves when people hit the streets because he used to do that with garbage bags and meat.
Aha.
So if I keep pounding the pavement, eventually maybe I can.
With garbage bags full of meat.
Yeah. GBFOM. Then the other way is for us to give him a nice, elevator pitch, 15 seconds worth.
Okay.
And then I'll just tweet it at him.
All right. What is the pitch?
Help me build this.
I would say this. Mark, next time you're in town.
Camera, please.
Mark, next time you're in town. And I've had the chance to meet you several times, Mark, and I adore you. It's easy to do.
You got to be on the same level.
No,
as him.
but he is a good guy, and we've met several times. Great guy.
Be cool.
That group chat you were in, how about we have a steak dinner you're not buying? I'll buy. Up to 10.
10 people?
Yeah, whoever's maybe left on the group chat. What?
I just think that I love this idea.
Okay.
But that's a big commitment.
True, steak dinner. Okay. You
What
just
I
wanna
want, I want him on the podcast. Listen, come on over here. We'll pick up some steaks.
He's not going to come to your apartment.
I disagree.
Okay. I'm in. Then we're dropping the stakes completely.
Yeah, I want you to. You're
And
not
lowering
doing
the stakes.
You're not doing a good pitch here. I really think we could get him.
I agree with you.
I've had Robert Herjavec on the podcast. I've had Lori Grenier on the podcast, and Damon has said yes, but we'll see.
You have you've had him on the podcast. Wow. Okay, so you're going to get all of the
sharks.
Okay. Well then, why be the last shark? Be the greatest shark on this podcast.
Yeah,
That's easy.
I need to be tighter. Here's what I need from you, okay?
Yep.
And I'm gonna ask you. You have the Hollywood mug. You're drinking coffee out of the Hollywood mug. That's not an accident, okay? What I'm gonna ask of you is to really milk this, okay? I'm gonna ask you to reach into your bag of tricks. I'm talking. Okay. I'm gonna ask you to play characters from movies or shows that you've been in.
Yep.
Really, I would like you to. Here's what I want from you.
Yes.
Here's what I want from you as champ.
Yeah.
Okay. I want you to invite Mark over to the podcast.
Okay.
And I don't know, find a good pitch. Just
okay. Ready? Hey, Marc Cuban, Champ here, we've met several times. In our past lives, most likely. Who knows? Maybe we were married. Wink, you come on out to the Rick Glassman Take Your Shoes Off podcast. We'll have some scotch, maybe some steaks. We'll have a good time. And if you like some side dishes, huh? You know what I'm saying. We'll have those avail.
Good. Are you talking like sweet corn or are you talking like pussy?
Well, I think the enticement is we're not going to say it.
Great. Love it.
All right. I don't think we're going to get Cuban, but
when this comes out,
Yeah.
we're gonna have to both tweet at him and say,
love it.
Want to get you on the podcast.
For the longest time, I was trying to have a get together with everybody on that.
I remember.
I was going to open my house to a party.
How come it didn't happen?
Every time, you always think it's going to be at an occasion, 4th of July, a holiday, and people were always busy.
No, you don't do. People are going to be busy on a holiday.
You're
You
right.
have it on
Tuesday.
March 5th.
Right, March 5th. Let's do it, March 5th.
Great.
Here's the thing. No longer is anyone maintaining that thread at all. Lenny won't respond. I will tease Lenny or mock Lenny, and he won't respond. Then I feel bad. Like, is Lenny mad? Does he think I'm being a dick
Can
about
I tell
it?
you what the root of this is?
Yeah.
Twitter's the worst.
It's dead, isn't
Twitter sucks.
it? Yeah.
Twitter is negativity, it's trolling, and it's clickbait. Instagram is king.
It's true.
Instagram is king.
Yeah, because I will never do Snapchat.
Yeah, I haven't gotten into Snapchat
It's
either.
for the children.
It's doing real well.
But
it went public recently, and I think it's...
Well, it'll, just like anything else, it'll do well for a while. And
well,
then-
they're starting to do content now, like produce stuff. And
Longer?
I think that, yeah. And I think that's their
that
way
will-
of trying to beat...
That might be their way. It doesn't
Yeah.
work for anybody. What was the first big... What was that
Vine.
one? Huh?
Vine.
How about that?
Yeah, well,
Vine
Instagram
blew up.
cannibalized it. Instagram was able to do what Vine did. So people need to find what is, as Cuban would refer to as proprietary.
Aha.
Yeah.
That nobody else can have.
Yeah.
But then sometimes when you do something nobody else can have, and you try to create a dead-end street where there's going to be a cul-de-sac where we all live, people blow past that and go, no, there's somebody else doing it.
That's why brand awareness is so important. You know?
Because people had websites, and websites are a dead end.
Instagram is the new website.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rather than like, hey, let's get them to the website.
What does that mean for you? Because a lot of people aren't technically savvy, especially of your generation.
I'm not.
But you're on Instagram, you tour, you need to find a way to reach out to your audience, to have your audience connect with you. So when you use Instagram, does it feel like an obligation? Are you doing it for work?
Yes.
You don't like it?
I'm not driven by it. I don't. It's
Right.
it's a necessity I'd rather not have to deal with. To be honest with you, I have a company post all my stuff. So they curate videos and put them up. Now, I will answer, or if it's getting liked, I'm doing it. If someone's talking to you, it's me. But as far as finding the content
people
and
do that
posting
now.
it, it's someone else.
Yeah.
And they make a big difference. And they also do the target marketing. Just let people know I'm coming to town. I can't tell you how many times I'd go to a town and people go, I didn't know you were here.
Right.
So it's made a huge difference in the marketing.
That's why I started the podcast. I mean, I love doing this podcast. This conversation that I've started with you and that we're going to, I've been so excited to do this podcast with you.
I'm excited every time I see you.
Thank
last
you.
time, not the last time, you came through the Superior Donuts.
Yeah, I was working on a
Studio.
show called The Nobodies at Radford, and we were right next door to you guys.
So you came in, and I was thrilled to see you every time. I can't remember the last time I actually saw you.
It's probably during Donuts.
Wow. Yeah, in this town, you find good people. RG, good people. You get excited about seeing them, and excited when you get to work with each other. You're like, oh my God. Especially if I've seen someone or worked with someone over a 20-year period, like you've seen each other, known each other, and then every once in a while you get to work together. It's just a thrill.
Yeah. You know what was cool about that experience when I came to visit you on set was that was the first time that I felt like, oh, I'm been in this business for a little bit. I walk over, I know the director, I know the PA, I know you, Jermaine Fowler, Rel Battle, Maz Jabroni, like people are this is awesome. I'm on a lot.
You're part of show business.
I called my dad the first, because I stopped by 2 or 3 times because I was working there for a couple weeks. And the first time after, I had such a nice time seeing everybody, and I didn't know I was going to see as many people as I did. And I called my dad, and I just said, like, this is going to sound silly, but I feel like I belong here in a way that was a little bit of a dopamine rush for me. It just felt, I felt a sense of confidence because everyone was nice to me and they know who I was. And like, I was a fan of yours before I met you. And now here we are, I walk in and you're coming in, you're like, Glassman and hugs. And it's just like, this is fucking fun, man.
Right. Well, you got the respect you deserve.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
I want to talk about actually, I wanted to finish the podcast. The reason I brought that up, I started this podcast because I want to find, for stand-up. Right. And when I go, I want people to know who I am. And when I go to their city, I want them to be able to know that. And if they're listeners, and then they will. And I love having these conversations. And we talked about it before we started. It's because I'm doing this all by myself. It's so much work.
It is a lot of work.
It's so much work. The editing alone takes me 25 hours a week. Oh. Plus setting up and the booking and the doing and the promoting. And it's such a pain in the ass.
It's a lot.
And I was talking to my friend John DeWalt, and he's a writer, but we're both in the business of some kind. And just how many jobs we have to do on top of our job just so we could have the job.
Yeah.
And it's like, you're right, man.
It's really Alice in Wonderland. The line from Alice in Wonderland: you must run twice as fast as you can to remain exactly where you are. That's close. But yes, you have to keep running. And sometimes you're running in place. You're like, I have to run in place? Yeah, keep running in place, because if you don't run in place, you're going to get behind.
The line between content and business is very brief now. I mean, people have podcasts or Instagrams or YouTube channels that are their own television shows that get more views than television shows.
Wow.
So, I mean, some of my peers have podcasts that get more views than some late night shows.
Really?
Weekly, yeah. 800,000, 1 million.
Yes,
and those are real numbers.
Those are real numbers.
But at least my friends started that to then do something else, and now those things are their biggest breadwinners.
Right.
And it's just,
well, it shows you another avenue for revenue.
Yeah.
And to create your space where you become more viable to the industry that demands that you bring in a certain amount of money. That's why I'm hiring you. We all like to believe I'm getting hired because I'm funny, or I'm getting hired because I'm good. You're getting hired because you're an economic model that might work.
Yeah.
And once you don't work, it's goodbye.
Yeah.
We've seen plenty of stars go up and down, and then it's over. And then I don't know what they do.
Yeah.
That's why, guys like you and I, we're going to do everything it takes to stay there. You do stand-up, you write, you're doing your podcast.
I don't know how people do it without having stand-up.
I never had it until 8 years ago. I just started doing it because I have 5 kids, and there was a time where I would get all these jobs in movies. They would just come to me, fourth lead, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then it came to the point where stars were taking my jobs. People that would be the lead in movies were taking jobs I would get.
Why is that? Is it because the more ensembles came?
No, well, possibly, but I think it's because of the crash of 2008. And I thought, well, I have one house; they probably have 3.
So you were working consistently as a character actor.
Yes.
And then 2008 happens.
Yes, and then 2010 is what it usually takes a couple years for it to catch up to show business, and it did. And I was like, oh my, I better have a contingency plan. So I called my agent and I said, hey, can you get me on the road?
And you had never done stand-up.
Correct.
You were out of Chicago. You were an improv actor.
Right, but I've done live forever. I've done character pieces. I had a live show in town called the Naked Trucker and T-Bone Show that was wildly popular. Then we had a shitty show on Comedy Central where it got completely compromised and done the back-ass-words way. So it didn't become what we had hoped. But I'd always done live or character pieces, whatever. So I knew I could do that. So to me, to be on stage is, like buttering toast.
Do you find it easy to butter toast? Because I don't eat butter.
I do.
Okay, I understand the analogy.
Margarine, any spread,
jelly,
any spread. Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you were shooing for this. You thinking of more
walking
spreadable?
Across the room.
Yeah.
Anyway. So then she came back the next day with 11 gigs. Now the first one was 3 months away, so I had time to prepare an hour. And so I took that out. It's more like a one-man show.
For people that aren't familiar with the process of stand-up, I've been doing it for 12 years now. I'm this is taking me longer than most people, but I'm now able to do an hour. Okay, so you did it in 3 months.
Well, but I was older, and I'd been doing it for a long time. And so basically what I put together is a bunch of character pieces.
Right.
And so I had 5 changes on stage. I changed into characters 5 times on stage. So when I was going out in these clubs, people were like, what the fuck is going on?
How were you received?
Different every city. And then slowly you start doing different stuff to fill in between. You find it. You know, I was, you know, I come from an improv background, so I can fill any void. And, you know, I'm blessed in that I can find some communal laugh that we're having one way or the other. So slowly you start building to get an act together, you know, on the road. I say together with the audience, giving you feedback.
When did you start doing? Because I've seen you do stand up. I first saw you do. I've seen you maybe 2 or I've seen you. I know 2 times, maybe again, but I remember twice, both at the Improv, and you were doing more material.
Oh, it's all material now.
Yeah. So when did that transition? Once you got the material, you kind of relied on the characters to fill the time until you figured it out.
I would wick the characters out of the hour as they no longer became part of it.
So they were placeholders.
Yes. Well, I try to keep them in there, but as the theme kind of starts congealing around your hour, you have to go, okay, this doesn't fit. This is now like not part of the flow. It's like you've stopped your show, started another thing, got out of it, now you're going back to your show.
Yeah.
So when you feel the audience is like going, that's not a good transition.
You know, in Hamlet, the soliloquy, to be or not to be, really serves no purpose whatsoever.
Right, and a lot of people don't know that he's talking about suicide.
Yeah, I actually just saw that in an episode of Parenthood last night. I don't know much about Shakespeare, but there was that conversation. So I thought I could connect to you with something that is...
Say it again?
To be or not to be.
Oh, it has nothing to do with the play.
It slows the momentum, according to Richard Dreyfuss, who played the Broadway producer.
Oh, I see. Well, that's an opinion. You know, I'll give you a fun anecdote, one I think is fun.
Thanks.
Do you know where the phrase break a leg comes from?
Do you want me to guess?
No, do you know it or not?
No.
So to break a leg, they always say it is like good luck to actors because they think to say good luck is bad luck, which makes no sense. It actually originated around Shakespeare's time. Shakespeare always recaps his play all the time throughout the play. And you're like, I already know this information. People
audience warm-up.
Yes, but people used to come and go watching plays. So you'd always have to be kind of catching up everybody that may have just come to the show.
Previously on.
Right. They would come and go. Oftentimes, people wouldn't stay for the end of the show. Or they'd stop it because they got upset or whatever. But to break a leg means, I hope you get to the end of the play where you get to bow. Because then to break a leg meant to break leg backward to bend. I hope you get to bend your knee. I hope you get to
like that.
Break a leg. So, you know.
That's why it's catered to actors in particular.
Yes. I hope you get to the bow. Yeah. Basically, break a leg means I hope you get to the bow.
Marc Cuban, if you come on the podcast, not only are you going to learn about breaking legs, you're also going to, and I don't know what to say there, but maybe I'll edit something in later.
Sure. Have a steak prepared for you if you want one.
Yeah.
I'm just throwing
you
something
You love selling things with steak, huh?
I don't know a lot of men personally that wouldn't be enticed by a good piece of meat.
You're a generation of steak eaters. Sure. I like a steak too.
Sure.
But you have that that give me a steak vibe about you.
To me, it also means you're going to enjoy a long meal together. It's a patient time spent together. You're not going to rush through a steak dinner. You're going to be there. The waiter knows you're not in a rush.
Right.
They're going to bring out the meats. They're going to show us the meats. Because if you say, let's go have a steak, we're going to a steakhouse.
I've gone to a lot of nice steakhouses. I don't really get the meat brought out to me unless I'm in Vegas.
Well, it's usually to show you the marbling,
of course,
or what you're hoping to get.
I understand the process. Yeah. Some places do that with dessert too, to say, hey, check this tray out, right. And then everyone makes a joke. Ooh, could I have a bite? And then they say, no, these are glazed.
I know. Yeah.
When somebody makes a joke that is not a good joke,
right?
I get a little. I don't know how to handle myself.
Right.
I want to go. what are you doing?
Yeah.
you know?
My kids now, because I will talk to everyone. My kids now, so Charlie's 20. He's fine with it. He's
The
over
oldest.
it. Yeah. Margot's still a little apprehensive, but she's kind of getting it. But the twins are now 13, and they're just horrified. Like, Dad, stop. Because if we're going through a drive-through, Der Wiener Schnitzel, to get ice cream, I'm making jokes. On the
Of course.
to the person in the, what do you call it, the speaker?
Drive-through.
The drive-through, thank you. Why couldn't I come up with that?
Maybe it just didn't come to you
Like,
right
Dad.
away.
Or the other day, I'm driving up and I'm waiting in line, and some guy who happens to be from a town 40 miles from where I grew up turns around and he sees me in the car and he goes, "Hey, I'm from Jefferson City."
And he knows you're from Jefferson City because
He knows
you're
I'm from
a
Tipton.
celebrity.
He knows I'm from Tipton.
Okay.
There's one guy from Central
I understand.
Missouri who made it, and he's like, "Oh, that guy."
Mm-hmm.
So I'm talking to this guy for a while, and the kids are like, "Dad, what are you doing? You're talking to some random stranger in a drive-through line." So they were getting upset. Then of course I'm making jokes with this guy, like, "Oh my God, Dad, stop! You're not funny." That's my favorite.
My mom talks to my mom makes friends everywhere she goes. I always loved it.
Okay.
I always thought like she made. I still feel like I want people to meet her. I feel like it makes me look good.
That's nice.
So that sucks.
That's nice.
That you must be a shitty father.
Yeah, I'm the worst. No, I'm a good one. But I just like talking to people.
I kind of want to calibrate something between you and I real quick, and our home audience.
Yes.
There's been 2 times now where you said just joking in a way that I feel that you knew that I knew that. Let me
okay,
set
sure.
those up
Yes,
because
yes.
it's a microcosm of a bigger thing.
Right.
One was the Jewish.
Right.
And then this one, the bad father thing. There isn't 0.01% of me that thought that there was any anti-Semitism in you,
Right.
Or that you weren't a great dad. I mean,
Of course.
to hear you talk about your kids often, actually,
Right.
And
It's most of my show, yeah. So,
but you're doing that because you're on microphone.
Yes.
So just in case people don't know how to contextualize the joke,
Yes.
you want to be safe.
Exactly.
I don't have that instinct built into me very well.
That's fine.
But I'm starting to recognize it more now, and maybe I need to do that more.
I don't know that.
I don't either. I don't know if I need to.
So you're an original, and you're young still.
Right.
So,
What does that have to do with it?
well, my time in show business is longer. If they miss the joke and only hear part of it and believe part of it, then they might go anti-Semite.
Okay.
Which the stakes are higher to me.
Sure.
So I feel it necessary to make sure I set the table.
Have you always felt that way, or is that newer now that things are coming, like being
I'm
taken out of context?
certainly more conscious of it.
Right.
I wouldn't have been if I was younger.
Because of your age or because of the time?
Probably both.
Because 10 years ago, people weren't going back in people's Twitter feeds and seeing what they said
Oh, right.
and taking it out of context.
Yes.
So
Ridiculous.
I've had some guests on here that I was shocked at what they afterwards. They said, "Hey man, this blah 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 was super funny, but I think I want to take that out."
Wow.
Because they were worried if somebody only heard that piece, including some Jewish jokes made by Jewish people.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I would not ask you to take something out unless we were doing an aside.
Yeah.
And we're talking about a specific person, and I said I didn't mean to say that about that person.
The reason they wanted to take it out was less about regretting what they said and more about fear of how it may be misunderstood.
Yeah, we can't do that. My understanding is on college campuses has become fascist, and they think they're progressive.
Seinfeld and Chris Rock both have said they no longer will play colleges.
I've heard that too,
Yeah.
because they're not allowed to do their material.
Yeah.
Because kids don't understand irony or sarcasm, and so they're diligent in their policing of your language, which is fascist. That's not progressive. They think they're being progressive.
Yeah, there's been an interesting shift, and not to take any sides or anything. I mean, I told you before we started, I'm a
Are we
Jewish.
talking about side dishes? Back to Marc Cuban?
Talking about vaginas.
Thank you.
I'm talking about vaginas.
Sides.
Yeah, vaginas, which you must do.
Which is the best side.
Ew.
What?
There's some.
I got an ooh from you. I believe that was genuine.
There's something about a man.
That makes me happy.
There's
Yes.
something about a man who's 50 plus.
Yeah, 56.
Who's wearing rings, multiple rings.
Yes.
And says, "Pussy is the best side dish."
But I didn't say it.
No. You're right. He didn't say it. I said it.
That's fine.
But there's something about it that I think you got to go,
Well, it's the best main course.
What's the best side dish? To me, they're fries.
I agree. Well, I'm kind of yes, fries or mac and cheese.
I don't eat cheese. But I don't need to shut you down. I'm sorry.
No,
That
it's
doesn't
fine.
matter.
No, that doesn't matter.
I just can't connect to that.
Oh, I can.
I want to get into, before I forget to get into it,
Yes.
some of the stuff that I'm projecting. You may be like, ugh, I don't want to talk about, but it's what introduced me to you, and I want
Yes.
to talk about it a little bit.
Great.
And that is The Office.
Happy to talk about
and
it.
Anchorman.
Happy to talk about it.
Good.
Here's the thing. It's like when people say, if you're taking a picture, and they always go, you must get tired of this. So they're trying to, after already getting what they wanted, like almost saying, I'm sorry.
Qualify it?
Yeah.
Right.
You must get tired about this. And here's what I say. Wouldn't it be worse if it didn't happen?
Yeah, well, there's an equilibrium that happens at a certain level of fame with a certain type of person that starts to. I have to imagine everybody, even people that are annoyed by it now, at a certain point, that validation excited them, and then it invaded their personal space, and now they resent it even when it doesn't invade their space.
Well, I don't know. I can't speak for anybody else, but I'm not of the level where it impacts my life in a
Right.
negative way.
Great.
The only time I would ask someone to wait is if I'm having dinner with my family.
Like a nice steak dinner.
Nice steak dinner. That'd be great. I love it when my boys started ordering steaks instead of burgers. Like, I'll have the sirloin, or I'll have the T-bone, or I'll have the ribeye. I'm like, yep, that's awesome.
Are you someone that believes that if anybody gets a cook more than medium rare, that they're not a man?
No, I don't. I'm not a aggro idiot.
You have a very interesting balance about you, because the way you look
Yeah.
and the way you carry yourself
Yeah.
is very conservative. But I know that your points of view and that your empathy is very not that.
It appears as if I'm a conservative.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I'll sit down. I loved wearing boots. I love wearing boots.
Sure.
They're comfortable to me. They're part of my fashion sense. Growing up in Missouri, I was like, I rejected all of that. But as life went on, like, I love boots. And I've got a great boot store in Van Nuys called Country General Store. Check it out.
Wait, you have an ownership in this?
No, I should. I love them so much.
Well, let's see if we can get a sponsorship. Why don't we give a 15-second shout out to Country Boot?
The Country General Store?
Yeah.
He's not going to sponsor you.
Of course he's not. But
Yeah.
this is a kind of a game. Whenever someone references something, I like
His name is Rick as well, by the way.
Well, Rick over at
Country General Store.
Country General Store, Todd Packer here, and something like that. But we can move past it.
Yeah,
So
anyway.
go on. You have a boot store.
Love wearing boots, and he's got Western shirts are now back in vogue in a way. If you've seen what Lucky has done, they're kind of adapting. It's kind of like a fusion of Western with modern shirtwear, blah blah blah. And they've got some great ones there. So I'll sit down sometimes in an airplane wearing these boots and a sweet country shirt. And
What's
people-
a sweet country shirt?
Well, Western shirt. Sorry, Western shirt.
Okay, I'll have to have you send me a picture of one of these.
Okay. And people are like, oh boy, what am I in for? And then you start talking to them, like, oh my God, you are so different than what I thought you were going to be when you sat down here.
So you've gotten that for a while.
Oh, yeah, but I'm fine with it. I don't care.
Oh, it's not even. It's
Yeah.
not a negative at
To
all.
me-
It's just a.
And also
projection.
sometimes, you wear it and people go like, I love that shirt because people don't wear them.
Right.
Yeah.
So Adam Devine, do you know Adam?
Yes.
Adam is whenever I go out with him, I have friends that I still view as more celebrity, like a bigger celebrity, have been doing it longer, whatever it may be. But I've never been around somebody who gets a reaction the way that he does.
Oh, yeah?
I think it's also because his fan base is so strong for him because of the stuff that he did. Workaholics was huge, and
Yes.
he was he comes across as the guy that you want to go, have beers with or whatever
Yeah,
it is.
yeah.
But you go to a Clipper game with him, and 150 people from like walking in to getting to the thing. So many people, and he takes a picture with all of them. He laughs. He does a bit back. And I know that he appreciates it and wants to do it, but also I'm not speaking for him. It's just from experiencing it, from watching. It's a lot.
Yeah.
He's so good at it.
That's
And I
awesome.
think that's part of what keeps it going for him.
Great. Thank God he's that generous.
Yeah.
And magnanimous about it. If I'm going to a game, I'm typically with a child.
Right.
So I have to moderate that a little bit.
Right.
Depends on where you are for me.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's still in bro mode.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's fantastic, and I honor him for that. That's amazing.
Sullivan, I talked about this in another podcast recently, but Sullivan, I
The
was
worst.
with. He's
Irish, the worst.
he's we were at Cantor's, so he's okay with Jew.
Sure.
And somebody stopped him and recognized him from his show Flaked, and he said, "Really?"
Yeah.
And he was,
Yeah.
Oh, and he goes, "I never get stopped. Thank you." And he was so genuine. It was so cute, and I could totally empathize with that. Whenever someone asks me, it still is very flattering, And the difference between that and then other people who are like, they have their tricks, one picture only, let's keep it moving.
Yeah. The problem, it does become a consideration of time. Mm-hmm. And then sometimes it'll be someone sees you getting a picture, they don't know who you are, so they'll take one too.
Yeah.
And they'll be here, they go, "Who are you?"
Yeah.
Like, oh, come on.
Yeah.
Now that's disingenuous.
Uh-huh.
Now you're stealing time. Because you don't want to miss out, and I'm just going to be deleted.
Yeah. And also the idea of wanting something. I mean, when someone wants to take a picture with you, they want something from you, but they want something from you from a place of love and appreciation.
Right.
So it kind of balances each other. But when someone doesn't know who you are and sees they take a picture with you and wants to get a picture too, they're literally taking something from you by your time. They don't like you. They don't know who you are. Blake Griffin talked about. I recently did a podcast with him.
Did you?
Do you know Blake?
Yes. Well, I know of him, sure.
I've done a few podcasts with him, actually. It's a long story. I'm not going to get into it now. I will talk about it when we post that one.
Sure.
But I met him through stand-up. He was hosting at JFL one year. And I don't know if you've seen any of his comedy work. He's legitimately, not for a basketball player, an unbelievably funny comedian.
Wow.
And it was cool talking to him about that based on, because I feel most comedy comes from a defensive place of survival, whether it's insecurity or needing attention or needing to divert attention, whatever it may be. And when you see somebody that's as wide and popular and cool as Blake Griffin, how do you develop this? And we talked about it. Was a very, very cool interview. But he was talking about that very thing and how he's very sensitive to people wanting stuff from him since he's become a superstar. And cousins that come out of the woodwork that have the same last name as him, and people that are and he talked about that. He said when sometimes somebody takes a picture and he clocks people like confused and coming over, and they take a picture and then afterwards they say, "Who are you? I want to tag you."
Oh my God.
And he was saying how just like, that's part of what it is.
Do your work before you get to me.
Yeah.
Don't make me do your work.
When we were on tour, on Undateable, we talked. You guys toured because on your show you had a few stand-up comedians. Yeah. We did that on Undateable. There was me, Brent Moore, and Ron Funches, Chris D'Elia. And we were in Chicago, and Kevin Durant was there. Brent and I are huge basketball fans, and it was this is crazy,
right?
And sometimes there's people that you see you got to get a picture with.
Yes.
Kevin Durant is one of them.
Right.
We walk over and get a picture with Durant, and Chris is over there. And Durant recognized Chris. Chris didn't know who Kevin was.
Wow.
And Durant recognized Chris. He's like, "You're that Vine star, right? And you're Vine famous." And Chris said, "This is the first time anyone's called me Vine famous where it didn't bother me because he recognized, this is somebody who's kind of cool." And I wanted to get a picture with him, and I said, "Hey man," when he said to Chris, "You're Vine famous," I said, "Hey," to Kevin, I said, "Hey, will you take a picture?" He goes, "Sure." And I hand him my phone and stand next to Chris as if I wanted him to take the picture. And Durant is so famous that he didn't even understand the bit. When I'm handing him my phone, he's waiting for me to stand next to him still.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, and I have the picture where I'm like in a sweatshirt eating chocolate pretzels, so insecure because my bit bombed in front of Kevin Durant as his arms around me. And I'm just, and I go, "Thanks, man."
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but NBA guys, those are the superheroes. Those are the real life superheroes, and
they got to do it. I mean, they get inundated. I mean, that level of, "Hey, let me take your picture," is just beyond. And at that point, you're like, no.
I thought I knew I was getting a laugh out of him. I love getting a laugh out of a guy who's taller and stronger than me. You kidding me? Didn't happen.
Well, this time.
Right, want to talk about Anchorman and The Office.
Yes.
So, at any moment, if I ask you something, talk about whatever you want.
Sure.
But there's a couple things I want to ask you.
All right.
First is, and I'm going to transition in through this podcast, Allison Jones.
Yes.
Who casted The Office.
Yes.
Who I'm having on my podcast shortly.
Nice.
And I'm going to be asking her a lot of questions.
Great.
Because online, The Office is, for the past 15 years, Curb Your Enthusiasm was the best show in the world to me. I didn't discover The Office until like 6 years ago. And then like that, it's, as I'm sure you've heard a million times.
Oh, my God.
I literally watch it every week. For years, I watch it every week.
Wow.
I've rewatched season 1 through 7 maybe 10 times.
Wow.
And then random all the time.
Okay, yeah.
And online, you could find audition tapes from the people who were cast. Also, you could see like Seth Rogen's audition to play. I think it was Dwight. That he like all these other like now celebrities who went in for it.
Right.
So I want to talk to her about that process. I will probably. I'm going to see if she'll do a 2-parter. 1, everything else, and 2, I want to have an Office segment.
Nice.
She casted you for this, or did you get through some other way? Did you have a relationship to get on there?
Yes.
Could you talk about that?
Did I?
Yeah, like how did you get cast on the greatest show of all time?
I auditioned for Michael Scott.
You auditioned for Michael, so you auditioned from the beginning.
Yeah, but I couldn't do it because I was a huge fan of the British version of The Office.
So what do you mean you couldn't do it?
Well, the sides were from the original Office. So it's David Brent. Mm-hmm. It's Ricky Gervais doing. It's the same script,
right,
with a few changes. So you can't get him out of your head. So I couldn't do it without being affected by the thing. There was no purity. Steve had never seen the British version of The Office. So, I'm happy for him because I couldn't. I was so affected by the comedy. It's like doing.
Right. You felt you were doing an impression.
Right. Yeah. I didn't have it. No, that's because I probably didn't work hard enough to put an original stamp on it.
Did you know?
I should have.
Did you know, based on the success of the British Office, that when Greg Daniels was redoing this, that this was probably going to be a big show?
No, I thought it wasn't going to work.
Right.
I thought this won't transfer because there's a different level of satire in the British Office because it's a caste system. That's the way it works there. You're not going to rise above this. Here's your station you're given in life, and that's the way it works.
I don't understand. You say that differently?
Okay, so it's an old country. And people are used to rising only to one level, and that's it. They're not going to be king.
I understand.
In the United States, people think they're going to be president.
Right.
So it's a different...
And then become president.
The vibe of that, the social, economic impact upon the characters in that show is a viable part of the structure, in my mind.
Yeah.
That doesn't exist in the United States,
okay,
where everyone thinks they're entitled. People think less so in Britain, I think.
Well, the original cast of The Office was not a group of stars.
Correct. You talking about this one or the British one?
Even this one.
Right. Exactly.
People didn't. I mean, more so. The British people knew who Gervais was a little bit there.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Steve Carell. This was pre 40-Year-Old Virgin.
I think it may have been about the same time.
Was it
about the same time? It was after Anchorman.
Right.
It was after
and it was
Anchorman.
also after his role in the Evan Almighty.
Yes, which came
right.
Yes. So
okay,
those are
I take
two
that back.
big pops.
Yeah.
So he was on people's radar for sure.
Also, he was in the business.
Yeah.
He was one of the kings of improv.
Yes, he'd already
People
done
knew
The
who he
Daily Show.
was. Yeah.
And you can't say enough great stuff about Steve Carell. He is a master. He's amazing. He's a very kind man.
Did you work with him in Chicago?
Oh yeah, I've known Steve for a long time. So just wonderful. One of the greatest improvisers I've ever seen. I've never seen him in a scene that didn't work.
Cool.
Ever. He's incredible.
Were you out of Second City as well?
Yeah.
Okay, go on.
The I.O. and Second City.
Yeah.
So, I
you
auditioned for
it.
the original part of Mike Scott. Didn't get it. That was it. Steve gets it. Like, of course, Steve's amazing.
Yeah.
Then I was up in Canada shooting Snakes on a Plane. Thank you. And they had cast someone for Todd Packer. I didn't audition. Whatever. I was out of town. Blah blah blah. And this was in the first season of just 6 episodes.
Right.
And so they were having trouble casting it, and I guess they had someone, and it didn't quite work. That happens sometimes.
Yep. And they filmed him.
I think so.
Okay.
And so they're having trouble. Like, what are we going to do? And they're already moving on to the next episode. And then Steve Carell says to Daniels, "What about Koechner?" And that was it.
And then Daniels knew you from the audition.
Oh, I'd known Greg Daniels from other stuff. I had done King of the Hill.
Did you?
Yeah. I don't remember what it was, but I did one.
You look like you would be in King of the Hill.
There's some meme going around casting the King of the Hill for a live movie, and I'm one of the guys. I don't know which one.
That show, I don't think people know. That was like an under the radar. I mean, it had its moment, but I still watch them sometimes. It's a masterful show.
Mike Judge.
Yeah, I mean that's a brilliant comedy.
Yeah, Mike Judge is brilliant. Come on, Idiocracy, and then it happens.
Yeah.
You know. So anyway, that's how that happened. And for me to play Todd Packer, like I look at that going, oh my God, this is easy.
Yeah.
I get to be an asshole. I get to say things that no one gets to say. And I understand how to imbue a character with ugliness and nastiness and narcissism. And
why?
It's fun for me because to me it's all satirical.
Yeah.
So the harder you go down on this thing of these awful things that he wants to say and believe it, the more ugliness you're able to represent. And they go, oh, that's wrong. That's not right. That's wrong.
So when you're playing it, do you feel that you're making fun of it?
Oh, yeah.
Do you think that
But at the same time,
people recognize
honoring
that?
I don't know. I can't control that.
Have you had experiences where people met you and knew you from the office and thought of you as a mean, bad person?
Yes. I assume a lot of people go, he's like that.
Right.
I will
Because
tell
you
you-
embody it so well.
Right, which is a compliment. There was one time when all 7 of us were in an airport, boarding a plane probably to Kansas City to go visit family. And
All 7 of you meaning your family, not the cast.
yes, not the cast.
Right.
So sorry. Thank you for setting that straight. All 7 of my family members, me, my wife, and my 5 kids. And so we're waiting to board the plane, and we'd gone to Burger King to get something to eat. And we found 3 seats together, and I'm putting ketchup on the kids, fries and all that stuff, doing the things dads do. And some couple was observing us. They go, you know what? We're going to give you our seats, because the other kids were on the floor. We're going to give you our
Jesus.
seats. You don't seem like the guy you play on The Office. So I was wondering if they were observing first, going, is he going to be a dick to his children? And then they gave us the seats, which was nice.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of stories of people playing assholes and then them thinking they are assholes in real life.
Yeah. I can't imagine what Carol O'Connor must have gotten.
I don't know who Carol O'Connor is.
Oh, All in the Family. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a different time, too.
Right. And, this is so anytime they'd see Carol O'Connor, they must think,
Well, here's a perspective that I gained recently. Seth Green played. Did you watch Entourage?
I didn't.
Okay. Seth Green was on Entourage and played Seth Green, right? A version of himself.
Yeah.
And he was the cliche actor douche.
Yeah.
Tell your girlfriend to say what up, right?
Yeah.
And we talked about how that made people thought he's one of the nicest guys. Do you know Seth?
Yes.
It almost seems fake how nice he is. He's
Very
just so
nice.
connected and loving.
And very interested
Very interested.
in so many different things. Yeah.
He said for years, not only did people think he was that, he also casting didn't bring him in for certain roles because they thought this is what he was.
Wow.
And his logic to that and why I say different time was this was right when reality television first came out, where people they think they're watching people playing themselves.
Yep.
So people started to believe when Seth Green plays Seth Green, that's who he really is. And that kind of was a little bit of a shift into the idea of, oh, we're not watching fiction anymore. And that balance, and that now is even more heightened with Instagram and social media and people seeing so much behind the scenes.
Yeah.
So I feel like when somebody does something now, there's more of this idea of that's who they really are, as opposed to them playing a Jedi and knowing it's not real. You know what I mean?
Right.
So you're probably you're one of the worst. Like the character you play is one of the worst people of
Todd Packer.
Todd Packer
Sure.
is one of the out of all the people that are the worst people on a show.
Yeah.
Somehow you are not unlikable. You know what I mean? Which is a testament to you and the writing. But to be able to be that much of a bad friend,
Yes.
that much of an energy stealer,
Yeah.
Come on.
homophobic,
What's up, Halpert? Still queer.
that misogynistic,
Sexist.
and to still be like, fuck, he's so funny.
Whoa, this guy is out of control.
I think the stars have to be aligned for that. I think that, one, because you are a reoccurring character and you're in and out of it, so when you come in, your job is to shine and to steal the scene, because as a guest star, when you're there, you're not doing a side role. You're part of the story, you know?
Right.
Two, everyone around you that that responds to you responds in the way that we, other than Michael Scott, when like the office sees you, they don't like you.
Of
So
course,
it's like,
they hate-
oh, okay, it's
they
being
hate
acknowledged.
Todd Packer.
So then we kind of empathize with, oh, he's joking when he shits on the floor.
Right.
And then just who you are, somehow you're able to play this alpha asshole.
Yeah.
And it's likable. Is this something that you're aware of about yourself?
I don't think of it that way. I didn't. Well, thank you. I you know, there's so many things you can't control. Mm-hmm. So I only focus on the things that I can.
Right.
So that's all I can do is go do my job. Now, I'm delighted to do my job. And perhaps if I'm having fun while doing it, that bleeds across maybe.
Well, yes.
So,
But
but I'm not
this-
that complicated, and I'm certainly not, I don't hate myself. So maybe that comes across. I'm having a blast.
Yeah.
Playing an awful guy. You never get to splash all the water out of the tub. So here you get to. And then you're not going to clean it up.
Right.
Someone else is going to clean it
Right.
up. I'll splash out all the water, and I don't have to clean it up.
Yeah, there's something childlike about it too. Like you're even saying, like, I'm not going to clean up my mess.
Yeah.
You come in and it's very, yeah.
It's an emotional hand grenade every time. Boom. You guys deal with it.
Do you think that works today? Do you think you could play that role
Oh
today?
no! He would have to. He would be constantly under the gun of having to explain himself or change his behavior, but he would still find ways to take power.
The way you said, I'm just joking about the Jew thing and
Yes.
about the being a bad dad
thought.
thing.
Yeah.
Those things are little flicks compared to what you do as Todd Packer.
Right.
Do you have the shield of playing a character that you don't have here?
Oh yes. I assume they know this is make believe.
Right.
Yeah.
Even though some people think it's, like you said.
I can't control that. This is an agreement. Dave Koechner is sitting down with
Right.
Gregory Glassman.
Yeah. Because
Or Richard, I'm sorry.
It's okay. I told you my middle name, and you recalled it, so that's...
But it's Richard.
Yeah. Today. So I want you to tell me...
Chard.
I want you to tell me...
Sweet Chard.
Some, like,
Yes.
cool
Anecdote?
behind-the-scenes story or anecdote about that show.
About The Office?
About The Office, about Steve. I mean...
Steve is the sweetest man. Steve is just so sweet.
Yeah, but don't tell me, like, the kind stuff.
there's-
Don't tell me mean stuff.
I know.
I want to hear, like...
Here's what I always say: never leave people with a story. How was he? Great guy. End of story. How was he? Kind of a dick. Oh shit. Tell me. There's no dick story about Steve Carell.
Yeah. Tell
Well,
me.
the great story is Steve got me the job on The Office.
Yeah, tell me
he
more
said,
about that.
What about Koechner? That was pretty much it. So I came in and just had fun, and that was that. I didn't think about it.
Michael Scott loves Todd Packer.
Yes.
He loves him so much.
Yes. It's so misguided.
Is that built into you guys' relationship? Do you make him laugh the way you make the character does?
I would hope so. But it's almost like for Steve, it's like he's one of my kids, like, oh God, no, please, Koechner, no. Please, no. I will do bits with anybody about anything. You and I are the same in that we will swing at anything. And if we whiff 1,000 times, we don't care. Next ball, I'm swinging at. Am I going to take a bunt? No.
Yeah,
I'm swinging hard.
We're built to be edited. Just
Yes.
take our hits.
Fine. Fine. Hit me with the ball. I don't care. I'm on base. You know, do whatever. I'm swinging at it.
Steve's not that way.
No, because he's a precision guy. Steve will hit a home run every time and choose his pitch.
Mm-hmm.
I'll hit tons of home runs, but my batting average will be 10.
What's the difference? What's the psychology behind that?
My guess is maybe third of 6 kids, maybe. Still a desire to please, or I just enjoy it. I don't mind. Maybe I'm crazy. But really,
You don't
for
mind
me,
missing, you're saying?
Huh?
You say you don't mind. You
I
mean you don't mind missing.
No,
Right.
I don't care. Doesn't affect me. No, it affects the people around me. Like, I don't want to be near that. Okay, I get it. That's the way I'm built. That's what you're going to get.
Yeah.
So anyone who will be near it, well, you'll tolerate a lot.
So part of this past few years, I've come into some new discoveries about myself.
Sure.
And one of the big ones is I never realized I didn't realize how I'm received. I always felt I'm funny, so you think I'm funny. What you're saying, I just started to become aware of. And I could only be my best self. But knowing where the line is, at least I have the option to cross it. Whereas I would do it sometimes and not realize it.
Yep.
So now that I'm aware of that line, I still I still like stepping over it. I still like taking chances.
I agree.
But I have this rule that came out of a past relationship of mine, which is I love to gamble.
Oh,
and I
okay.
love to take chances. I mean, I like to gamble, but I mean that as a metaphor, like with my bits,
Sure,
like
sure.
swinging.
Yes.
I like to take a big swing and try to hit it.
Yep.
But I want to make sure that I'm never gambling with somebody else's money.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
And when I'm meeting a friend's or a girlfriend's family or friends for a first time, for me to go in and take big swings, that's not my money. Do you?
I still do that. I'm still learning too. I'm still learning. Exactly the same thing. We can't help but be tempted by pushing the line a little bit, just to let them know a couple things. A, I'm joking around. I'm going to make you maybe uncomfortable, but that's my way of loving you.
Right.
That's part of that.
But they don't know that.
Well, that's okay. It's all I know. It's our operating system. We all have our operating system. Yours and I are very similar.
But it's not all you know, because you now know that they don't know that.
It's still the same system.
Emotionally,
Yep.
You're still wired that way.
Right.
Same.
But it's also what makes us who we are.
I don't want to cannibalize who I am. I love who I am.
Right.
But I do think it's really important to I want to give a side story.
Sorry. Yes.
One of my first guest star job I ever did was on the show called The Comedians. Do you know that? Do you know that show? It was
Yep.
on FX with Billy Crystal and Josh Gad.
Yeah.
I went on. I was on set. I was on the lot, and I got in the van going to set, and I didn't realize that Larry Charles was part of this.
Okay.
And Larry Charles, for those of you who don't know who he is, he's a monster comedy director and writer, but he's from the Seinfeld days, and Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Yeah.
And when he walked on, it was whoa.
Yeah.
Right?
Sure.
And he said something to me, and I gave a little bit of a bit back.
Nice.
Right? He laughed, which, come on, now I'm worth something in my head.
Right.
And then he said, this is the first time I've ever heard this. He said, save it.
Okay.
And I knew what he meant.
Yep.
I knew what he meant. One, save it literally because we all have a finite amount of energy, and you
Yep.
forget that until you run out of it.
Yep.
And two, it made me realize, I don't have to show him my value
Again.
which you never have to, but
Right.
that's where it became conscious
Yes.
to me.
Very common.
And that made me so confident because I felt that he, for right or wrong, I projected he recognized I had it.
Yep.
Which he couldn't. I made one joke in the van.
Yes,
but
he did, though. That's what it meant.
And so now, because I felt that way, I wasn't like sitting on my hands and
Right.
holding my tongue. I didn't feel the need.
Right.
Which is a big. I recalled that later on when I'm connecting all these patterns. When I feel this need to do those things, it's because I don't feel valued. And when I'm starting to recognize that, one, maybe they do value me, and two, if they do or don't, this isn't necessarily where my value comes from.
Right.
Like you said earlier, value comes from people don't hire you because you're good. They hire you because you're a commodity. The same way works with interpersonal skills. People don't want you because of your talent. They want you if they like you, if you're nice to
Right.
be around.
Right.
I want to work with
Right.
people I like to be around.
Right.
But I do have like this emotional wiring in me that is like, I need to do this. I need to do this. So since I've made that connection, I now sometimes remember what am I trying to sell to you? And if I'm trying to sell something, I kind of like, I don't like that. Does that make sense? I went on a bit of a rant.
No, you're right. Sorry, I'm so sorry.
It's fine.
It's also because you're like you're saying a salesman, and you want acceptance from a peer or a person you hope to be a peer.
Yeah.
So it's common.
Yeah.
I don't think that's
But
that's not bad.
But yeah, so the point I was getting at is I connected with you hard the
Sure.
first time we met because it was Bit City.
We're the same guy.
And I will constantly, but some people aren't that way.
Right.
And it's just an interesting adaptation that I'm trying to make.
But you know when you meet a fellow traveler.
It's
Yes.
it's family immediately.
Yeah, exactly.
My best friend John DeWalter, I told you, I met doing background work on Angels and Demons,
Oh,
the
that's
spin-off of
And you guys started doing bits.
immediately
Yeah.
and lightning struck.
It's fun.
And we've been best friends since.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the
But
That's the nice part. That's the great part of show business. You meet fellow travelers, some on different levels, and sometimes you hang out, sometimes you don't, whatever. But in this town, let's hang out. Well, okay.
yeah, maybe.
Maybe. I've got 5 kids. That's a reality. That's my life.
Yeah.
So if you're a dad in my school, maybe I'll see you every once in a while at a birthday party, something like that. We'll all have, tons of friends I don't get to see.
So you are this guy that wants to come in and you're emptying the tub and swinging big.
Yeah.
On The Office, when you come in, it's not your show.
Right.
and you steal of your senior in a
That's the way it's
good
designed.
way. Yeah,
Sure.
it's by design.
Written for that.
So you come in, I assume, confident and ready to play.
Sure.
Were you received that way on set, or was there anyone in there that felt it was too much?
I don't know.
Right.
I'm just going to come do my job. I'm a mercenary. Just like Packer at that point. You know?
Right.
If I get to do a scene with Steve, great. If I don't, it's whomever there. Everyone turns out to be a delight on that show. Love them. Still enjoy all of their company to this day. I was able to do a show this past weekend, and Oscar Nunez and Creed Bratton were part of the show. Wonderful. We've already have a shorthand. We've already worked together. I have complete acceptance of who you are. You know, just that fun thing. Like, wow, look at us. We're here in this different location doing a fun thing together.
There's something beautiful about you said I don't know that I also grew up with by being unaware. By not knowing, you're truly not. You're not trying to please. You're just literally doing your thing, and there's kind of a having this like Mario star where you can't be hurt. You could run through anything because I don't know that somebody doesn't like me. It's not affecting the energy,
Right? Yeah.
and that's a beautiful place as a performer to live.
I could sense that a couple people didn't care for me, and I think they perhaps thought I was like Packer because they didn't know me.
Right.
And I would ask other cast members, like, what's that person's deal? And they would say, oh, that person is like that to me, and I've known that person for a long time. And you realize, oh, that's their operating system.
Yeah.
It's not me.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to name names. I'll tell you later.
Yeah, I'm not interested. Not even later.
Okay. I'm going to tell you anyway.
Okay. Do you watch the show?
No.
Did you watch the show?
No.
You've never watched it?
I've watched some of it, but that's because
You're a fan of the British Office.
No, because I didn't have time. I realized, so there was a point where my wife and I used to watch some shows together. And then I realized, like, well, I'm not watching any shows that people are talking about. And I realized it was 13 years ago. That's when the twins came. We had 2 children, and then we had 2 more overnight. Our family doubled. So then life became only surviving that. And that's when I realized, oh, that's why I've missed every show since then.
So you don't watch anything?
No, I watch MSNBC.
What about movies? You watch movies? You go to the movies?
Oh, I love going to the movies. But then it came at a point where I would only go to movies that children were watching.
Right. Going to the movies...
Real quick to interrupt you. That's why I'm so delighted as my boys and my girls got older. So we go to more, movies that are for me. Because I remember when I used to take Charlie to movies, every time, whatever movie it was, he goes, that's my favorite movie. Every time. There's important, in adolescence where the kids just love the last thing they saw. And you're like, oh my God, that was awful. I could barely sit through, like, favorite movie of all time. So, but now he's getting more discerning, which is fun. I love that for Charlie's 20th birthday back in May, his desire was we're all going to go out to eat, the whole family.
Steaks?
No, not steaks. And we're going to see, it was Charlie and I, we'll just have steaks. And then we're going to go see John Wick 3. And it was so much fun.
That movie was amazing.
So much fun.
And who went? All 7?
All 7. Yes.
How old's the youngest?
And
13?
8. Yes. And even
8?
Eve. Yes.
8 is seeing John Wick?
Yes. 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 I get to. She look, at this point, you cannot police your children. You hope for the best. You raise them the best you can. She's got an iPad. I'm not always looking, what are you looking at? What are you looking at?
Yeah.
At some point, you go, okay, well, the rails are down.
Sure.
I'm talking about the rails on a bowling alley.
Yeah. Which we'll get to in a moment.
Yes, of course. That'll be the balance of this conversation. There's little you can do. And you know what? She's going to take it in whatever context she wants. She was mostly okay and bored, but the other thing she can realize is this is way out of context with any reality. So clearly it's satirical at some point. And so she's digesting it. Doesn't make her a bad person. It's not going to affect her. It's not a horror movie.
The only reason I would think not to is if it's scary.
It's not scary. I wouldn't take her to a horror movie.
Right. And you don't consider that to be horror?
No.
Yeah, I guess I don't either.
It's gun porn. So they describe it as gun foo.
Mm-hmm. Man, what about those horses kicking each other in the face?
I laughed so hard.
My mouth was open. Almost the entire scene.
Laughing?
No, I mean it was funny.
Yeah.
But it was like I just like the enjoyment of like
the
how big
inventiveness
they
of it.
got to make this.
I laughed hard so many times in that movie. God, it was delightful.
Yeah, that's a good movie.
Opening up the visors.
Have you seen his training videos? They came out a couple years ago, but they went viral recently.
No.
Keanu Reeves like going through the marksmanship training and shoot. It's incredible.
Wow.
He's just I don't know how to hold a weapon, but like I do
really good,
because of watching
over
John Wick. You know,
Yeah.
and how like strong his elbow is, and
He is
just
hands down
efficient, and how short his arm is, and keeping everything here.
Wow.
It looks cool. I'll text it to you later.
It's so hilarious. Every time they go in this, it's like, wait a minute, how are they killing everyone and no one shoots them?
Yeah.
Then the dogs come with what's her name?
Jesus.
I just did it to you. Elle McPherson. No.
Well,
yes, we know her name.
the black cat woman.
Yes.
What's her name?
Big star.
I'm looking it up.
We'll pause the tape.
People like when you look stuff up. I put in a little song.
We'll go back. And
Halle Berry.
Halle Berry.
Halle Berry.
Yes.
Yeah.
She was hilarious.
Something that was interesting to me, and she's been a star for a long time. I didn't buy her as an action star. And she's played many.
Wow.
I watched Keanu Reeves. I felt he was really that thing. Halle Berry, I felt it was great choreography, and the dogs were incredible. But like, I wasn't buying it.
Oh, that's funny. I just assumed I'm fine with it.
I was okay with it.
Whoever they wanted to show up, I was fine with it.
Keanu Reeves looks like he could really do it. So I was able to kind of submit to some of the stuff he did as like, I'm watching an expert.
Yeah.
I'm watching a real mercenary do this
Yeah.
stuff. And,
Well,
and
part
Halle
of it-
Berry felt like a movie to me.
It's such a burden for that character. It's like, oh, I have to do this? Okay.
Yeah.
That's part of it for me, is that he's forced into it. Like, okay, I'll kill everyone if you're coming at me.
Yeah. Good movie, man.
Yeah. So enjoyable.
But I want to, before we run out of time,
Yes.
I want to get into Anchorman.
Okay.
So Will Ferrell is king.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Agreed.
Okay. When Will was on The Office, and if you haven't watched this, the greatest cold open of any show of all time is the introduction of Will Ferrell. Did you see this episode?
I have not.
Okay. I almost want to pull it up now and watch it with you on this. But it's Will Ferrell comes in the last few episodes of season 7, and he's taking Steve Carell's place. And spoiler alert, he ends up getting hospitalized 3 episodes later. He's taken away in a ambulance, and we never see him again, or they don't talk about him again. It's very big. It's perfect. So the intro is they're trying to meet each other, and then they're both at a bar, and they're talking to each other, waiting for their person to come, and they don't realize that they are the person they're trying to meet with each other. A phone call happens, and then they figure it out. It's just an improv scene. I know it's written, but it's them going back and forth together is a fucking clinic, and it's unbelievable. So, unrelated to the question I'm going to ask you about Anchorman, you got to watch that. I mean, you're part of the greatest show of all time. That's the greatest scene. I'm going to send you a clip.
Okay. That really makes it easy for me. I appreciate that.
You know what? I would like to try the luge, though.
Try it once, you're hooked. That's my guess.
That's what I've heard.
Did you know Will before working on Anchorman?
Yes.
How?
He and I were on Saturday Night Live together.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
When were you cast on SNL?
95.
Is that the same as him? Same year?
Cast the same day, I think.
So you guys met on SNL?
Yes.
Did you guys hit it off?
Yeah.
I've heard him talk about how challenging that show was, and until you find your place, one of the things that he decided to do was tell all the writers that I want to be in everything. If there's one line, he said, I know I'm going to make it funny. I don't need to be a star. I just want to go in there and get laughs.
Yeah.
And because of that, a lot of the writers would put him in stuff
Yes.
because other characters didn't want to do that.
Right.
What was your experience with the first, like going on there and being new? You have to fight for your place.
I didn't look at it that way. I look at it like, well, you hired me.
Right.
So some arrogance, but also I am a bit of a comedy purist. Like they'd asked me to do this one character as a talk show, and I would say that's what's wrong with this show. We need more sketches, not talk show parodies, because there's a ton of them. Mm-hmm. Now I didn't realize they weren't asking me.
Right.
But plus, it wasn't my fucking job to decide what's good and what's
This
bad on the
comes
show.
from, which I could empathize with, being unaware in certain moments.
Yes.
Of
And
what our
also,
job is.
Coming from a comedy background where I
Right.
thought comedy is important, we must make it important. This is a religion. We all have to bow to it. We can't just do bad. We must do good. This show must be good.
Right.
It can't be bad. So,
And you're not in charge of it.
And I'm not in charge of it. So that's why I was invited off.
When I was on Undateable, it took me a little bit to recognize that what my job isn't to be the funniest version of myself. My job is to be the funniest version of what they need from me.
Yes.
And my ego got in the way because I didn't like what the jokes I had. I didn't like how few jokes I had. And for the first 2 years, I didn't enjoy myself.
Yeah.
And the product showed. And then I realized, oh, right. You want to do your dream so bad, and then when you get to do it, you forget that like your dream is it's a dream job.
Right.
And until you get to create your own product, you have to earn that. So for you to be able to go into the office that's not your show, both you didn't create it and also you're not one of the regulars on it, and to still be able to do your thing 100%, that's not a position that people get too often. You know what I mean? That's
Right,
part of what I
yeah.
meant, the stars aligned. You were able to do your gift.
Sometimes. Then I did Superior Donuts.
Right.
And they didn't use me.
That's what
I'm
I'm saying. In the role on The Office.
What am I? Yeah.
To have that opportunity to shine, you have to get so lucky to be able to get something, and then you have to be able to do it.
Right.
And to be able to go into The Office where you're in some of the episodes,
Right.
and to be able to do your thing 100% versus a television show that you're a regular on, and it's just not your wheelhouse.
Not only, well, they don't, it's my wheelhouse, but they wouldn't let me do it.
That's
And
what I'm
they
saying.
yeah.
Your job
Yes.
wasn't to do your wheelhouse. And that's a really challenge. Like,
It hurt. It hurt a lot.
Tell
And
me about it.
Really bothered me. A lot. Here I am. Been doing this a long time. You're not using me. You're giving me a couple lines a week. You're never giving me storylines. Why am I here? You don't get me. And plus, like, when they won't let you change a line, even that's just simply stupid. Anything would be better than this dumb ass line. And so you might offer one, and it gets a bigger laugh than the one they gave you. Right? Same spirit, same line, just sharper, better, bigger laugh in the audience. They go back to the first line.
Why do you think that is?
There you go.
You think it was ego?
Of course. Or just, I don't know.
Because I've heard the multicam world is very specific to the
Yeah.
multicam world.
Yeah.
And I know I've heard a lot of stories about they have to, Jim Parsons said that they can't, when there's a comma, they can't improvise the pause. If it's, what are you guys doing with me? You can't say, what are you doing here with me? Like, you have to do word for word.
Sure.
It seems like that's kind of what the job is.
Right.
And you're not built for that.
I'm not built for that. It depends, yeah. Right. Correct.
That's it was a big realization for me that I'm still trying to, which is, again, your job is to come in here and do what they, sometimes you could be a great 3-point shooter, but the team needs rebounds.
Right.
And it's like you have to remove the ego if you want the job.
Agreed.
And sometimes you need the job in order to get the next job.
Yep.
And it's very political. And for someone who's been doing it as long as you to then be in that position, that's interesting to me.
There's some stuff that was just so goddamn dumb. You're like, come on, man. Come on.
You felt you could have made it
Me
better.
trying to pick the nose of a mural. There's a mural. There was someone who had passed in the storyline, and someone had created a big mural. And my joke was I had to go up and act like I'm picking the nose. Now,
that was my character was also talking about the boobies and just the immature.
just please.
Hey man,
Early on, my character couldn't believe the set of knockers on the mermaid at the Starbucks. Like, what the? So I'm retarded? Look at the knockers on her.
right.
What? I mean, no one's ever looked at the Starbucks mermaid and thought about the breasts. I never have.
Mm-hmm.
It's not even something that's commonly thought of. Hooters girl, yeah. Jesus, I'm screaming. So sorry.
It's okay.
But it was like, what is this? It's the dumbest thing ever. In the first episode of that thing, no one ever talks to my character. My character talks at people, then people look at me, and then that's really strange for an actor. Like, no one ever speaks to me. Mm-hmm. I just say my jokes.
That's the job, man.
Dumbass jokes.
That's the job.
That's the job.
That's the job.
Yep.
It's the genre of the show.
I'm sure they wanted to get rid of me.
Where were you on the call sheet?
I don't remember.
I used to.
But there's people who were, Jermaine was number one, and then Katie and Judd were,
2 and 3.
probably. I don't remember.
They had to have been.
I was 4. I don't remember.
I
I don't care about where you are on the call sheet. I want the job, and you get the job, and they offer me the job.
Yeah.
I'm assuming you offer me the job. You want to use me. So that transition
The
of going,
business
they don't
doesn't.
wanna,
It's hard enough to know your own skill set.
Mm-hmm.
The business doesn't know your skill set. They've seen you be funny in something, so they think you're funny,
Right.
And like they could, but we all have our skill.
Yeah.
We're funny in this thing.
Yeah.
You're funny as the alpha. You're funny
Sure.
as the guy who's in control.
right.
And that maybe you have other things you could do. I've seen you do that. You could make a living for the rest of your life. You're so good at that thing.
I will.
But you know how to do that.
Yeah.
People don't know how to necessarily write for you.
Yeah.
So
So they shouldn't.
or you need to learn how to do their thing.
And I do.
In a perfect world, you are on a show where it starts somewhere and then you guys collaborate with each other and calibrate, and then they start to see what you do and they write for you that way.
I'll give you an example. Bless This Mess. All right?
Mm-hmm.
The writing on that show is outstanding. And I'm not saying that just because I'm on it.
Okay.
It's really good, and it seemed to get even better. It was good from the start, but it's gotten even better.
Right.
And they absolutely know how to write for me very quickly, within 6 episodes. So it's possible.
Sure.
And it's communal, and I have no problem taking whatever notes they need on that show because they are very, very good.
Gotcha.
And I will say I really love the whole cast too. And I know everybody says it, but gosh,
No,
darn
they
it.
don't.
Okay. Well,
People don't always like who they
we're
work
very
with.
and plus I've known Dax for a long time, and I'm just delighted to see. You're going to see someone. Say if you were on the show with me, I'd be like, oh fuck yes,
Yeah, you have a friend
Glassman's
there.
coming today. Yay!
Congrats on season 2, by the way.
Yes, thank you.
I've talked about this before, but Dax is my role model.
Should be.
He's the coolest guy.
True.
He's the coolest guy ever.
Yeah.
I find that I'm very attracted to people that have gone through recovery because there's a certain level of emotional maturity that they have to have in order to be where they are in life. That combined with him just how funny he is,
Yep.
and just him being tall and a cool driver.
And a wonderful person.
And
Yeah.
also he's been around for so long and is so aware of, things he could have done different, to where he's able to kind of articulate advice. Man, he's fucking cool, huh?
Yeah, he's wonderful.
Speaking of Parenthood, which I said I referenced, I never seen before. I just started watching it. You don't watch stuff?
I don't watch stuff.
I didn't know him as that. I didn't know he could do that. Like the dramatic, emotional acting that he does. Oh,
He's a really bright guy.
he's very smart.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you done his podcast?
I'm doing it this weekend in Chicago.
Cool.
Yeah.
I when I started doing my podcast, I started listening to podcasts. So I've been listening for a few months now. His is the main one.
Yeah, apparently.
Yeah. That I listen to.
Yeah. Well, apparently a lot of people.
Oh yeah, it's a huge podcast.
Yeah,
I think him and Joe Rogan are the 2 biggest comedy ones.
Yeah.
But the Will Ferrell one is where he talked about that was on Dax. I'm excited to see her. So you're doing the live show.
Yeah.
Oh, you're gonna be on, huh? Oh, I'd love to go
I'm
to
going to
that.
go do my job.
When is it? Next week?
No, this week. This Friday.
Man, if they were in LA, I would need to go to that.
Yeah. To me, I'm just going to hang out with Dax.
Sure.
I should probably watch a couple episodes.
Have you? Yeah. Yeah. Also, no. I mean, it's not going to
I'm
make you
good.
better.
No.
It's not. I mean, you know what you're
You'll
doing.
know what the sit is, right? So,
You know what the sit is?
well, I think that's
Is that a saying?
yeah.
What does that mean? Is that
Like
from
the
Shakespeare days?
situation.
Oh, the sitch.
Or the sit. I think it's. I think that might be from Glengarry Glen Ross. You know where you're sitting.
Okay.
You know where you are at the table.
Yeah.
You know how the table is going to be prepared. That's what my guess is.
That doesn't matter to you. You'll find your place at any table.
I would hope so.
Yeah.
But it's better to be there up to speed and ready to play. People have paid money.
Right.
So you better, you have an obligation as far as I'm concerned.
So tell me about the Anchorman process.
Yes.
And getting cast in that. And that is, those are some of the best comedians in the world. And you are one of the funniest guys. Like,
I like you more now.
but what is that? I mean, I don't know enough of what your relationship with all these people are and what your experience was before that movie. But for me to empathize with going into a movie like that and being one of these main ensemble characters, and then to hang with them and steal scenes from them, I would feel like a king.
Well, to me, that's an ensemble thing, and you're just to play with each other is the thing for me. So it wasn't necessarily about ego, although I will tell you that. So first of all, I got cast because I auditioned. I'd known Adam McKay since 91 and Will Ferrell since 95. It is 2004. They couldn't give me the job. They didn't have that power yet. So
Okay.
I auditioned, and they knew that they couldn't say, we want Koechner. So apparently they put a VHS tape in for the producer, and there was 4 guys, and I was one of them. And they didn't say a word, because if they did, that producer naturally is going to say, not him. That's just
Why
the way
is that?
human
Because they
nature,
don't want
human
to
nature,
do...
Human nature. They're going to make their own decision. They're the ones
Interesting.
in power. And he goes, why not that guy? And they're like, yes. So they called me right away to say, you're going to be getting a call. We're not supposed to call you, but you've got the job, which was awesome, right?
And
so
this is a big movie, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it is.
Yeah.
The script, I'd never read anything funnier than this ever in my life.
It's one of the funniest movies of all time.
Yeah, I think so. And so I will say this, though. Here's the anecdote that's fun. The first week we did the show, me, Will, Steve, Paul, Christina, of course, but I had this conversation with Paul and Steve. We'd all gone home that first weekend after shooting, telling our wives, I'm not keeping up. I don't know what to do. Everyone's funnier than me. But that was such a comfort hearing they were feeling the same exact way. Like, okay, it's all fine. And then about halfway through the filming, it was so good, you almost didn't want to talk about it. Like,
How'd you know it was good? From feeling it, or did you watch scenes?
all of it. We would watch the dailies every day at lunch.
And you
You're
guys
like, oh
type
my
gold.
God, this is masterful. This is amazing. Everyone's hitting the right, all cylinders are firing. Like this is it just keeps getting better. And you almost don't want to talk about it because like watching a no-hitter. Like this is pretty good, right? So that's how I felt. And then, the show was not a hit. It was not a hit out of the gate. They dumped it in August, which used to be the dumping grounds. Promotion was terrible. They didn't know what they had, and it only made $84 million. And that by that point, the benchmark was for a comedy must make $100 million to be a hit or hope to do another one. Didn't do it, and so that was it. Now, it got a lot of notice, but it was very different than things people had seen before.
Right.
And it's a satire. People think it's a big dumb comedy. It's actually a satire center with all this dumbness around it, cotton candy, but really at the center, it's a satire. So that was interesting to watch that. And then it took a couple years after it got on cable and DVD is when it became very, very popular. Then it became a
Cultural icon.
Yes, it became a pop culture phenomenon eventually.
Or culture classic.
But yeah.
What's it? Yeah, cult classic, right? That's the term.
Well, cult classic, but then a pop culture
Yeah.
classic, I would say, by now.
Did you? Because that's another product that you were in where it seems like you got to just go in and do your thing 100%.
Yes. That one you have a little more freedom, more latitude, because McKay knows how to work with improvisers. He's one himself. Not everyone has the touch. He's so magnanimous. He's like, if you got a better line, say it. That doesn't happen. Adam and Will's attitude is like, say something. If it's good, we use it. If it's not good, we won't use it.
Right.
Take the swing. Also, I feel like that created a chemical reaction on the set. Like, oh shit, I don't know. You better listen.
Yeah.
You're not like, no, my line. You're listening.
Does that only work because you're playing with other improvisers?
Probably. Because when someone can't do it, you're like, oh, please don't do it. Please, no, just say the words.
Have you ever worked with on a comedy with somebody who can't do that and it restricts you?
Yes.
Could you tell me any story of that?
No, not really. Just like you don't want to do it because then everyone else will feel like they have the freedom to do it too, and like now we're just wasting time. Or you also don't like only I. Plus, not everybody's equipped to deal with it. Like McKay has an ability to. He knows what he's going to use in the editing room. He's got an editor that he knows how to use, that understands how this stuff can fit into the film or not.
What do you think that skill set comes from?
Well, I guess an improv background.
I recently had David Wayne on, and he talked about how, because I always thought his stuff was heavily improvised, and he says that it's not.
Right.
He said that it's very important to get what's on the page and have it structured in a certain way, because he says most stuff he watches with a lot of improv, it looks like it was an improv scene edited. While sometimes you could watch something and then it looks improvised, they tell you it was improvised, and it's just lightning in a bottle.
Right.
Is that luck? Is that people that direct that way? Is it having a certain cast that allows for that?
I think it's all those things, yes. Now, in Anchorman, what we do is we shoot the scene as written 3 times, then we improvise. So
Every
now
scene?
Yeah. Now you know you've got it. You already know you have it. So now just open up. McKay used to say, let the squirrel out of the bag, and then you can play. And then it gets used or not. But you already have your safety.
And you know that you know that's coming, right?
Yeah.
Because sometimes I think, like, I have an alt or something I want to do. I don't want to do it at first because I want to be respectful, but I also don't want them to move on before I get to it. And I can't pitch it every time. When I come in, I'm a guest. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I sometimes think I'll do 2 takes and then I'll try it.
Yeah.
But to know that my director is going to say, all right, guys, we got it. Let the squirrel out. And you knew that was coming every single time.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That must make it even easier to do the scripted lines that way, because you know you'll have your dessert in a minute.
Correct.
Man, that must have been a process, huh? Like a cool thing to do.
Pretty wonderful. Yeah.
Did you make Champ, or was that scripted that way? Was he that?
It's a partnership, I think. Was he that?
When you auditioned, is that the character you auditioned with?
I auditioned for Champ and Brian Fantana, I think. First phone call we've gotten. I didn't know we took calls on the show. This is great. This is fantastic. It's a call-in show now, folks. Someone. Do you have another? That's your buzzer. You have another guest?
Hi, I have a package.
Oh.
Would you like to come in on the we're doing a podcast. Do you have a minute to come in and say hello?
He's got a job to do.
Oh, all right. Every now and then, are you a fan of The Office or Anchorman?
I've seen Anchorman. I've really never gotten into The Office. But
We got Champ from Anchorman right here.
hey, I was like,
How are you, sir?
You don't want to come in just for 1 second? You gotta go. Do your thing. All right, man.
next time I'll order up.
You got it.
This is Rick Glassman trying to corral the delivery person to come and be part of the podcast. What's the package? It's something you can talk about or no? Is it him?
Yeah, my mom sent
is it hymns?
My mom sent me this CBD roller thing, which I've already used, but she sent me another one that I have a shoulder problem. And I had surgery back in December, and I'm still having some issues with it. And she gave me the CBD stuff, and it's incredible.
Wow.
You rub it on, just like, any rub on, a Tiger Balm or something. But it doesn't just like get hot and cold. It also takes the pain away.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Have you tried KT tape?
Yes, but I don't know how to put it on myself.
Oh, it's intuitive. Wherever you feel like it should go, put it on. And you leave it on for 3 days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've had my physical therapist put it on me before. I should get some for home.
Yeah, you should. I'm a big believer in KT tape. It works for me often.
What do you use it for?
When aches and pains, whenever things happen,
You're an athlete. You are playing sports, right?
somewhat. To no result.
Gotcha. Well, got you, Anchorman.
Yeah.
Is there anything more?
To your question, it was a partnership of Champ Guide, scripted, and then I guess the way I was allowed to just develop the character. And, in something like that, you do turn to just breathe into it. And this is who Champ is. Champ is in pain. To me, Champ's all pain. All pain, trying to dig out of pain. He's lonely. He's clearly closeted. So he's evil and hurtful to others and himself. He's a horrible alcoholic. He's a racist, misogynist, jingoistic, a sexist, all homophobic. But, he's tortured. He's trying to crawl out of his own skin, in my view.
The two of your probably most successful characters
Are horrible men.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to. You talked about it a little bit. I want to ask you again. What makes that so fun to play? How are you able to tap into that?
I love tapping into pain and sadness. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it.
Does that help you in
Yes.
your real life? Like
No, I love that.
the audio recorder cut out. So depending on how it ended before, I don't want to pretend that there's a smooth transition.
No.
So we're coming back in.
I just took a bathroom break. I will say this: Rick Glassman keeps a clean house.
Oh, thanks. Did you notice that when you went to the bathroom?
Yes.
It's a clean bathroom.
Very
even.
clean.
Great.
Very clean.
Nice.
All organized.
Yeah.
Well done. Are you a Virgo?
I'm a Leo.
What is your birthday?
July 23rd.
Oh, I'm August 24th. So we're almost the same girl.
Is that a Leo?
No, I'm a Virgo. I'm on the cusp.
Oh.
I'm a loudmouth sensitive guy who craves
and,
organization.
You said we're almost the same girl.
Yeah.
What does that mean? Is you saying girl because girls like astrology, or is there something else I'm not picking up
I
on?
just like saying that, like, we're the same girl. We like all the same things.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
So this, because the card ran out and we're done now.
We're not exactly sure where it left off.
Yeah. So
we've gone longer.
Yeah, and I do know that,
which I like.
Which is unfortunate because the last like 10 minutes of what we talked about
were the only good part,
and it was real juicy. Okay, it was some juicy shit.
I talked some shit on a lot of people,
but we'll have to come back and do it then.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're gonna wrap it up. David, thank you for coming over to my place.
RG, I love it. We get to hang.
I love playing with you so much, man.
Agreed. And it was, and like you said, it was instant. Mm-hmm. Like, oh yes, yeah.
You know,
baseball bat to a golf match.
Baseball bat to a golf match.
Like, there's nothing wrong with that. I'll be like, "What are you doing?"
I understand.
I would never say,
now.
"What are you doing?" Like, yeah, let's do more of that. Yeah.
When we first met, it was outside after a show.
Yes.
And there was a fire pit. Do you remember this? That you and we didn't know each other. I literally walked up and you said, we're in the group together. We shook hands. Then we started fighting. I don't know if you remember this, but we were going at it. I knew it was a bit. I knew everybody else knew it was a bit. But I found out after that they didn't know it was a bit.
Wrestling?
There was some physicality. We weren't on the floor, but I get physical. You obviously get physical.
Sure.
Plus, there was a lot of aggression.
Okay.
And we kept one-upping each other, and it was, now you get the fuck out. It was aggressive. You know what I mean? And it was so much fun.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, a couple of guys that I don't know, they recorded it, and they wanted like some World Star shit or something.
Oh my God.
And they wanted to know what started this fight so they could contextualize it. And what was the problem? And I went, oh, I don't know. I think we were joking.
Yeah, that's funny.
And they just didn't. They're like, what?
Oh,
yeah. But
what's World Star?
Really?
Yeah, well, I don't know what that is.
World Star is a lot of times. World Star. A lot of times when you see viral fights, it's on World Star.
Okay.
I actually think World Star recently stopped showing fights.
Oh.
Maybe as a mission to not celebrate this type of behavior.
Right.
But a lot of times, and the meme of it is, now even on the videos, whenever there's a fight, you hear the guy behind the camera going, World Star, because they know, this is about to go viral and something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to wear. See, I learned something.
All right. So to end the podcast, what I normally do is make up something that I normally end the podcast with.
Okay.
So just letting you see behind the curtain.
Love it.
But sincerely, what we normally do is I normally have the guest, I push the chair out of the way and I raise the mic stand up, and I have them look to camera, and I have them in 15 seconds or less sell what this episode is about and say swipe up. Okay?
Okay.
All right. In 3, 2.
Hi, Dave Koechner. On this episode of Take Your Shoes Off with Rick Glassman, we delve into the beginnings of our friendship, the deepening of our friendship, and The Office and Anchorman. Swipe up.
Great, we got it. Now let's let the squirrel out of the bag. Do one for you.
Hey, Dave Koechner here on Take Your Shoes Off with Rick Glassman. He's got a clean bathroom. That's what most of his podcast is about. I'm lying? I don't know. Swipe up. Easy to love. Easy to love, Rick Glassman.
Blabbity blue, scoop dee. Oh yeah.